All right, guys. So I'm going to show you a clip from a video I did back in October 2019, last year, more than a year ago. And in that video clip, you're going to see me talk about the horrors of mass incarceration. That video I released either near or on Halloween. I think it was before Halloween. I wanted to release a video that was horror themed, but I wanted to release one that was kind of themed around mass incarceration because of you're talking about a horrific environment. I can't think of a one that is more horrific than correctional environments because I used to work in those kind of environments. So I understand it pretty well. So, take a look at this clip and see what you notice and see if I was right or wrong.
Let me show you how mass incarceration can in fact harm the general public in ways that some people may not have considered. This is a part of the public health records, and it's from the U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institutes of Health. And they're talking about prisons as a social determinant of hepatitis C and tuberculosis infections. Because you see, in U.S. prisons, those outbreaks are so severe, there are so many people incarcerated, and the conditions are optimal for viruses and diseases that it has proven difficult to control in a prison environment. And you might be thinking, well, these prisoners are incarcerated. Well, that's cute because guess who's not incarcerated? The guards, the nurses, the warden, prison staff in general, they get to go home. So let's say that one of those guards gets a nasty virus from one of these prisoners and brings that home to his children. Now you've got a full-blown viral outbreak that will prove to be difficult to control. On October 15th, 2007, Joseph A. Bick wrote a book called Clinical Infectious Diseases. And if you were to see volume 45, issue 8, from pages 1047 through 1055, you would find the following abstract.
At the end of 2005, 7 million people, or 1 of every 33 American adults, were either in jail, in prison, or on parole. Compared with the general public, newly incarcerated inmates have an increased prevalence of human immunodeficiency virus infection, hepatitis B virus infection, hepatitis C virus infection, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and Mycobacterium tuberculosis infection. While incarcerated, inmates are at an increased risk for the acquisition of blood-borne pathogens, sexually transmitted diseases, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus infection, and infection with airborne organisms, such as Mycobacterium tuberculosis, influenza virus, and varicella zoster virus. While incarcerated, inmates interact with hundreds of thousands of correctional employees and millions of annual visitors. Most inmates are eventually released to interact with the general public.
All right, so you watched the clip, all right? And I want to tell you that this isn't just to gloat or just beat some things over people's heads. I want you to understand something. There's a reason why I said what I said. I worked in correctional environments. The one thing I understand is that there's some people out there now who want to downplay the virus. And I do think that the virus has been overplayed to a certain extent. But, I'm going to follow the CDC. Again, YouTube, I will follow the CDC, everything that they said. But I do think that there are definitely people who want to downplay it by saying that, well, in correctional environments, things aren't so bad. And there's herd immunity there. And I have to remind those people that it's not just inmates who are in those facilities. It's also correctional officers. And people say, well, herd immunity works the same way the correctional officers. Yeah, but they also go home. Does herd immunity also work with their wives and their children, or their husbands, or whatever they're around, their grandma? And correctional officers come in and out of those facilities because in some facilities the turnover rate is like 70%. Turnover rate for corrections is very high. You watching me right now, and I was a former correction. I was formerly working in a correctional facility. I don't even work there, so you kind of can. That's kind of a sign. It's not easy to work in those kind of environments. And one of the reasons why I don't work there anymore because it was so filthy. I'm sorry. I know I was a soldier, but I was getting hazardous duty pay. I was getting paid for that, for being in those filthy environments next to gigantic human waste ponds. Burning your own poop. I was getting paid for that. The freaking salary that I was getting from South Carolina, that wasn't cutting it. Sorry, if you want me to work in that kind of environment, you gonna have to pay me. All right, straight up. So those environments are filthy, and those environments are virus havens. So what you gotta understand is that there's some people in this country who keep pushing mass incarceration. And I'm just going to tell you, that's a problem going forward because more and more people are taking this virus seriously. And if it seems like, you're pushing mass incarceration, the first question that person is going to ask themselves, and probably going to ask you too, is who are you voting for? Okay, I'm going to vote for the other guy because you're going to cause us to all die. All right. You've had scenarios where, correctional officers in correctional facilities in South Carolina. In fact, there was one, I believe, in Charleston. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, either I or my partner my former partner wrote an article about it on the dailycounter.com. I think I'm going to link that down below about the correctional officer who got COVID, who got sick, and it caused the whole facility to be on lockdown. It was crazy, So when stuff like that starts happening, you gotta reverse course on mass incarceration. Like I'll give you an example with South Carolina, and I used this example before, and I'm gonna on the screen before you. I'm gonna give you a link to a video that I did about the Walter Scott situation. The untold story about that. The incarceration is so crazy in South Carolina that in 2009 we had 18,848 inmates at the cost of $14,545 per inmate in the state of South Carolina, and 13.2% of them, or roughly 1/8, were in there for missing one child support payment. Now, you might be saying pay your child support, but the problem with that is in the state of South Carolina, the law is that all it takes to get locked up is one missed payment in 5 days. That's it. So, to tell you how bad it was, the state only has 5.1 million people now. Keep that in mind. Okay. At the cost of $14,545 per inmate for 18,848 inmates total, at the rate of 13.2%, you're talking $36.1 million, which is more than 7 times the dollar amount per person. And you're wondering why you're having COVID outbreaks in your correctional facilities? Because you're overpacking them. Do you understand how insane? You understand how stupid that is, right? That's like you would save money hand over fist by helping those parents catch up on a child support payment. Like no matter how you view that, right? You would literally save money hand over fist by helping them versus locking them up. Especially now because COVID and giving somebody a jail record is just not smart right now because it's a COVID economy. People have to find jobs. Think. Use your head. Like R. Kelly said. I don't like R. Kelly, but the one thing he said that was very smart is, that's stupid. Use your head. Yeah. Use your head. I mean, during this period, right, you had a sheriff's department in North Carolina, and I personally interacted with them on Facebook. I told them about themselves, okay? You got a sheriff's department in North Carolina. I want to say it's Culver County. I want to say. I could be wrong, and I may be misquoting that, but there's definitely a sheriff's department. If you look back in June, July, May timeframe, you will definitely see the sheriff's department. Just look up Operation Deadbeat, North Carolina. All right, and you'll see the Facebook message and some of the Facebook posts about this. It was insane. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. They were locking up parents for missing child support payments during this period when most of those parents, and I reached out to some of them as a journalist. I did. I want to write a whole article about it, but you know what? I think I'll make a separate YouTube video about that. Just calling them out, calling out some of the cops who've been absolute assholes during this period. I think I'll make a whole separate video and do a individual call out, because people need to know where their tax dollars is going to. There are good cops out here, but it's also trash with badges. If you're locking people up for missing child support payment during this period, when the government shut down the economy and gave us $1,200 funky ass dollars, when $1,200 doesn't even cover somebody's rent in some states, in some areas, that's stupid. That's dumb. I'm not gonna mix word about that. That's just disgusting. Then you had, and even before the pandemic, right? Even before the world, was going crazy, right? Back in February of this year, Colleton County in South Carolina, they had a special Valentine's Day message on Facebook. Okay. They decided that on Valentine's Day, they were going to find poor parents, first time offense, Like I told you, all it takes is one missed payment in 5 days, less than a fucking week. Most jobs don't even pay you in the first week. Most jobs have a 2-week hold. Especially if it's like a state or like federal job, or, even like military. Even military is in 2-week increments, 1st and 15th. 2-week increments. So there's been active duty soldiers who've been locked up because they missed one payment because they just forgot to pay. The payment is not being garnished; they just forgot to pay, or they're out they are out in the field where they can't just send off mail. And sometimes when you're training, you just forget things. You are training to save your life. You're training with guns, so it's perfectly reasonable if you just forget things. Now, but if you're willing to pay to make up the payment, don't send the guy to jail for that. Especially if he's serving our country. Don't send a guy to jail for that. But the cops back in February, they were doing that. And they posted these people's mugshots on Facebook. So what do you think those people are gonna do now? Now that they don't have now that their picture is all over the largest social media site on the planet, Facebook. How are they gonna find jobs now in the COVID economy? Also with their picture on Facebook with a mugshot. Colleton County. I remember when I was writing articles about some of the weird pattern in South Carolina, and you'll notice it. We have a lot of sheriffs and police chiefs who are not good people. My old police chief in South Carolina, in Columbia, South Carolina, and Columbia is the capital. His name is Randy Scott, and the current chief is chief of police in Columbia is Skip Holbrook. But the guy before Randy Scott, go look him up. Look up Randy Scott, South Carolina. Okay. That guy was my police chief. You start seeing mugshots with a former police chief, something went wrong, right? You had a guy named Kenny Boone. Kenny Boone in Florence, he sent a threatening messages to a state official because he couldn't get the state official to give him the money from the state budget for whatever reason. So the South Carolina Attorney General's office did nothing about it. In fact, the South Carolina General Office spokesperson, his name was Robert Kittle. Robert Kittle. I remember him because I talked to him on the phone several times. At the time, Robert Kittle said that nothing that was said there. It was clear threats. Now, when I go on with this story, you're gonna see what's wrong here. Trust me. It's a bizarre, crazy story. When you look it up, it's good. You be like, what? This happened? Okay, but so at the time they said that even though there was clear threats, there was a recorded voicemail. Clear threats. Look it up and you'll see it for yourself. Clear threats made by a sheriff who could clearly clear out threats because he's a sheriff. Any kind of threat that he gives is actionable because he's a fucking sheriff. He has guns by default. He has men with guns by default that he can order around by default. Okay? He can cover up crimes. He can do all kind of stuff by default. He's a sheriff. Okay? So when people were asking for him to be removed for the clear threat, they didn't do it. So, oh my God. So what happened was the reason why Henry McMaster had to actually step in to remove the guy. It's because one night he decides to go beat up his wife, according to police reports. I'm just saying, according to police reports, according to what his wife and neighbors and other people were saying, he decided to go and beat up his wife with a blunt object, and he smashed a cat off a table with a baseball bat. Okay, he digivolved from a person to a damn Cubone from Pokemon. He used bone whack on his wife and a cat. Okay. That's the kind of insanity you're talking about here, man. Like it's, and I know it seems like a long way from the original subject of this video. I just want to put that out there. It's just, it's kind of bizarre that people are getting locked up, for missing child support payments when the actual criminals might be wearing badges. They don't go to jail unless they go full like Cubone, or they go full meth gator in the case of Randy Scott. I had a meth gator, we got Cubone, but we locking up people for missing child support payments and risking them getting sick with damn COVID. Something ain't right here. I'm just saying. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Listen, I want to tell you, mass incarceration is terrible. It's stupid. But let me know in the comment section what you think about it. What do you think about what I said here? Now, I know I got off a little bit off a tangent on some other things, but I like to kind of throw in some random nuggets of knowledge because I want my subscribers to be smart people. I want you to learn things from me, right? I want you to learn things from me. And if nothing else, even if you don't agree with everything I have to say, I want you to learn something when you watch my videos. Even if you don't agree with everything I have to say, even the subject, even the way I say things, even the way I study, even the way I talk so fast, you know, even if you don't agree with any of that, I want you to at least learn something from the video. I want you to take something away. If you do that, I feel like I've done something good here. Anyways, love you all. Till next time, horns up and peace out.